You're back with Alexander Hackney from Sun Ecology, and today we're going to talk about watering. So the best time to water your plants in the garden is early in the morning. This is because the sun is not up yet and the plants aren't using a ton of water. They're not transpiring and releasing the water into the air. If you get them the water that they need early in the morning for the whole day, they're going to be juiced up and ready to go. Also, the sun is very strong, especially in the summer. If you water during the midday, you're going to have the sun beating down on the water droplets which are left on the leaves, causing burning to the leaves. It's best to water early in the morning. You can also water in the evening, and if you need to water during the middle of the day, you see that your plants are drying out, that they're wilting, they clearly don't have enough water, then you might want to turn on a sprinkler and let it run for a couple hours during the middle of the day. And once the sun starts to go down in the evening, you can turn the sprinkler off and you'll avoid burning. So you've just planted your starts or your seeds in the ground, and the first thing that you want to do after you've covered them up and have them set there is water. And you want to water pretty immediately, especially if the sun is coming out. The best time to transplant or plant your seedlings is early in the morning or in the evening. It's my favorite time, but either way you want to make sure that you water them right away. If you are watering seeds that you've directly planted, you need to make sure that over the course of the germination period for that seed, say it's for radish, which might be 2 or 3 days, or it's carrots, which might be 7 to 14 days, you want to make sure that they stay evenly moist through that whole period. I wanted to give you all a visual of two plants, one that has been well watered and one that has not been well watered and is starting to wilt. So here we have well watered plant. It's upright, it's perky, its leaves have some bounce and some life to them, willing to move. Here we have a plant that is wilting. The leaves are becoming softer and more supple, not so firm, and it's laying down on the ground. This plant is still savable. I'm going to give it some water in a second here, and it will come back to life within an hour. If you leave this for too long, then probably, if you leave this for 6 or 7 hours, or if you leave this, if it's the heat of the day, for just an hour or two like this, you won't be able to probably bring the plant back to life. It will also receive a lot of stress and might, since it's lettuce, it might want to bolt, or it might just not grow well. Every soil is different. You might have a soil that is really sandy, you might have a soil that's super clay, you might have a soil that is just perfect. It's got loam, it's got a bunch of organic matter, it's got sand in it, and it's great for planting in. But any way that you have it, it's going to require a different watering. Clay soil, for example, is going to retain a lot of water. It's going to hold the water in the soil. And so you're going to want to make sure that you don't overwater. If you have a super sandy soil, like you're down near a riverbed or in a valley somewhere, you might find that, or closer to the beach, you're going to want to make sure that you're watering a lot, because that sand is going to be letting the water run right through, and your plants are going to dry out a lot faster. The best water that you can get, in my opinion, is rainwater. You have fresh rain coming down, it's watering your garden. The garden looks super alive and rejuvenated after a nice heavy rain. So that's the best water. They say the rule of thumb is if you have 1 inch of water a week, that's enough water. Obviously, if you're in a very arid climate, you might want to double that. If it's hot in the summer, you're also going to want to up that. I always just check my soil with my hand. I'll stick my finger in, or I'll take a scoop of the soil, and I'll see how far down is it dry, still dry. If it's still dry 1 inch down, but I have huge plants, and right after that inch it gets wet, I'm fine with not watering for that day, because plants need water, but they also need oxygen and air moving throughout the soil for all the microbiology to live and thrive and do the processes that it's doing. If your soil gets way too dry and your plants are wilting and you go to water it, you're going to need to give that soil a lot of water. You need to go to go over it once with the hose and the watering wand, probably come back again, and probably go back even a third time. And you want to just keep checking after you've done 3 passes, how far down has that water really penetrated into the soil. I often see people do a quick watering and they think, oh, it's done, the plant's well watered, but actually the soil is only gone the top, centimeter or even half a centimeter of the soil, because the soil is really absorbent and will pull in a lot of that moisture. So you really want to make sure that you are checking your soil, really observing it and seeing how much water your plants are using, how much water your soil is absorbing, and obviously knowing what kind of soil you have is going to help in that process. When you're looking at the placement of your garden, if you end up in an area that is too wet and you find that the soil is just consistently wet, I have a couple areas like that on the farm. Really the best thing that you can do is to build up the soil by adding more compost or doing some sort of lasagna gardening, straw, compost, to really build up the soil. Or you could build a raised bed there, just creating some loft so that the initial part of the soil is above the ground and above the water line that's there in the soil. So when watering, remember to do it early in the morning, to do it in the evening when possible. If you need to water during the middle of the day, to maybe leave a sprinkler on so it can go in a little bit into the evening. Remember, if you've just planted transplants, to water them in right away. Remember to water your seeds in right away and to keep them evenly moist throughout the entire germination period. We're here to help. If you guys have more questions or comments, you can comment below. If you tag Flowering Sun Ecology, we'll be able to respond to you better, and we're very happy to help and to be bringing you this information.